Hey guys, my name is Kevin. I'm an exercise specialist with the West Primary Care Network. Today we are going to be doing a follow-along video with myself and my coworker Terry. I'm going to be doing the slightly harder version. She'll do the easier version. We're going to do about 15 repetitions of every exercise. We're going to be talking about proper form, proper technique as we go through. We only want you to do as many good quality repetitions as you can. So if you can only do 8 and at around 9 your technique starts to change or something starts to hurt, you don't need to get to 15. I don't want you to do 9 good ones and 6 crappy ones with pain. Just stop at 9. We're going to do 15 because it's halfway between 10 and 20, which anywhere in that range you'll be good to go. So we're going to get started with a warm-up. Come on in, Terry. Okay, so we'll start with a warm-up. So the idea behind a warm-up, just get started walking on the spot. You can move your arms back and forth, but really just walk on the spot for, probably going to do this for about 3 minutes or so. A little bit longer would probably be ideal, but you only want to watch us walking on the spot for so long. So feel free to swing your arms, move your arms back and forth. Anything to add? No? Okay. So walking on the spot, we'll get into some high knees. So I like to just kind of move right into high knees and march your arms back and forth. Purpose of this one is to warm up those hips. So really bring your knee kind of up to the sky as far as it'll go. Everyone has a different flexibility level. Some people can go up super high. Some people will only go to here. Go as far as your body will let you.
And you can go as fast or as slow as you feel comfortable with as well.
Yep.
A little faster.
Get into some butt kicks, so bring that heel to your bum. Back and forth. Terry likes to do a little arm motion with this one. So get the upper body moving, heel to bum, and move those arms back and forth. I have a tough time coordinating.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's just natural. Move the arms, move the legs.
I'm not a dancer.
Neither am I.
There we go. Cool. Let's warm up our hips, hip abductors. So step to the side and step that way.
That was a coordination one for me.
There we go. Now we're dancing. Okay, so this is abduction of the hip. I usually say if you grab your butt muscle, where your thumb is the muscle that we're working with this one. And this is just opening and closing those hips, so getting them moving in a lateral direction.
If you want to get your shoulders moving, you can do a couple shoulder circles while you're doing this as well.
Cool. Probably creeping on 2-ish minutes, 2.5.
I'm starting to feel a little warm.
I'm warming up too. Breathing a little more. You can do some arm swings. If you want to, big circles, really just move however you want to. Whatever feels good for a couple minutes. So we'll leave this as like open play time. You can maybe go back and do a couple marches, walk on the spot, kick your butt, do whatever feels good. First exercise we're going to do is the sit to stand. So we'll get started with that one in about 30 seconds. You'll want to have a chair nearby, and yeah, we'll get into that one.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so exercise number 1 is the sit to stand. So I'm going to show you 15. You guys follow along with me. I'll talk about form and technique as we go. Arms out in front of you. Stand up, sit down. Terry's doing the easier version. So sitting up higher in a chair is easier. The lower the chair is, the harder it is. Keys to this one: squeeze your bum, extend your hips at the top. It's very easy. Everybody recruits their quads. Most people don't have too much trouble using these muscles. Lots of people don't use their glutes. Other thing I'm looking for is don't let your knees fall together. Keep those knees out nice and wide. Squeeze butt, extend your hips. How many we got, Terry?
This is 14
and
15. Oh.
If you can do a couple more, go for it. The next one we're going to do is the shoulder press. So 2 different versions, really just the heavier weights that I would use, the easier or harder it is. Terry's going to use the elastic band once again. Easier or harder band will change.
Yeah, so I'll show 2 quick things before we get started. You can either hold the band in front of you. You can just change the length for the difficulty with the band and press upwards. Or you can put it behind your arm. I like it behind my arm, but just personal preference.
I like it
Okay.
in front. Up and down. So when I'm doing the shoulder press with the dumbbell, I usually don't go like this or like that, kind of halfway in between, up and down. We should feel this in our shoulders. So it's called your deltoid muscle. Right on the tip of your shoulder, down your arm, and a little bit in the back of your upper arm, called your tricep as well. Do as many as you can.
That's 12.
The lighter the weight, the more you can do. The heavier the weight, the less you can do.
Okay, so since I'm doing one arm with the band, I'll go ahead and do the other side. And so
yeah.
anybody who's doing the weights gets a little extra rest.
There you go. I've earned myself a rest.
And so when we're doing the band here, I like to let my arm go just a little bit below parallel with my shoulder and then press up again, keeping the band pretty much in line with your ear. It's okay if it's a little forward or a little back, whatever's most comfortable for your shoulder. And I really lost count there, so I'm going to guess that's 10.
Sure, yeah, 10.
11.
So lots of people don't have this shoulder mobility. Sometimes people push out like this.
Yeah, that's really fine.
Just want to go as far north as you can, as much up to the sky as you're able to. We don't expect that everyone will be right here.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the push forward or chest exercise. So I'm going to do the harder version. Terry's going to do the easier one. I'm going to do a counter push-up. Basically, the higher the countertop, the easier it is. The lower the countertop, such as like kitchen table or something, the harder it is. You can do this on a staircase. Like the fourth stair is obviously the highest. Third stair, second stair. The lower you go, the harder it is the principle. Hands slightly wider than your chest. And then I'm going to go down and do this. Terry's going to explain hers.
Yeah, and so the next other exercise is the band press. So you're just going to stand here with the band underneath your armpits. The closer you hold to your armpits and the shorter the band is, the harder the exercise will be. And the farther you hold away, the easier the exercise will be. So I'm just going to press out. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same motion. I'm just using a band, and Kevin is using the push-up counter.
That's 5 for me.
Yep, 6.
So I like to think about, what does your chest muscle do? Your chest muscle's job is to pull your arm bones together. So as you push forward, think about your arm bones coming closer together. That helps me use my chest. For me in the push-up, it's okay for your heels to come off the ground. I would actually say that they should.
Okay, so I think that was about 15.
Cool.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to do is the standing row is what it's called. So we're pulling backwards and squeezing our shoulder blades together.
So optimally, I do love this one standing. If you have somewhere to anchor it, we're just going to anchor it onto like a railing, a pillar in your basement. If you have a treadmill or a bike or anything sturdy to anchor this on. Today Kevin's going to be my pillar, but first he's just going to show the seated version for anyone who has nowhere to anchor it. Yeah, so he's using his foot as the anchor for the band.
So same idea, you're pulling your elbows backwards, squeezing your shoulder blades together, but the foot is my anchor. We'll have that playing along in the top corner. For Terry, I'm just going to hold the band as if it's around a treadmill or something like that.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften my knees so I'm nice and sturdy, and I'm going to pull back, squeeze my shoulder blades together. Essentially, if I had a pencil between my shoulder blades, I'd want to squeeze it every time I pull back. So I'm just going to soften and we're going to get started.
So this one, basically the farther away you walk from your anchor point, the harder it's going to be. The minimum distance away is just as you see when Terry's arms go straight, there's still a little bit of tension in the band. So you want to be far enough away that the tension is always there, just a little bit. And then the farther back you go, the harder it is. 13, 14, 15. All
Great.
right. So that is the standing or seated row. Next we are going to do the step ups. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the step up. So I'm doing the harder version, Terry's doing the easier version. Quite easy, basically the higher the step, the harder it is. I'd start with as little as 4 inches, and then 6 inches is harder, 8 inches, 10 inches. And really, like, the sky's the limit. You can go as high as you want to. But 10 inches beyond that, it's kind of like, what's the point? You're never really going to need to do that.
Yeah, and so if you don't have a step thing like this at home, you can use the bottom stair of the staircase, maybe like a stack of books if you put it somewhere stable, or like a step stool.
Step stools are great.
Okay.
So we're going to think about squeezing our butt and stand on up. Whichever foot is on the step is the one doing the work. So I like to put my hand on my butt, squeeze your butt and extend your hip. So if it's my right leg that's working, Terry's left, and extend your hip. Other thing I'm looking for is keep the knee in alignment. You can actually put your foot, whoop, I'm getting off balance. There, so don't let that knee cave inwards like this. I don't want that happening. Keep knee in alignment.
Okay, and that's 15 on that side.
Right on, so we're just gonna switch legs to the other side because the leg that's not on the step is really passive. It's not doing a whole lot of work. So basically while your one leg is working, your other leg is resting.
Another thing to mention here is that Kevin and I both have great balance, but if your balance isn't quite as good, please hang on for balance. Use a railing, put a chair in front of you, anything to hold on for balance. It's usually needed for this exercise.
Really, the more you hold on, the more we can actually focus on strength. If you're doing the exercise like this, you're not really recruiting the right muscles. So we do encourage actually holding on, as long as you're not pulling.
Okay, and that's 15, I think.
Great, okay, so now we're gonna move into the plank, bird dog, and glute bridge. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the bird dog. So I'm going to do the floor version. Terry's going to do the standing version of the bird dog. So pick whichever is appropriate for you. Basically, tabletop position on your hands and knees. I tell people keep your back nice and flat. It's okay if it moves a little bit, but overall I don't want people kind of going around like this. And the way I typically teach it is push one leg out behind you, opposite out in front of you, and then squeeze your fist and tighten every muscle from your hand all the way down to your foot. And then we're going to do the opposite side.
Okay, and then same thing for the counter one. We're going to start at the counter, leaning into it a little bit, one leg back, opposite arm forward. Again, trying to keep your hips nice and stable, no twisting and turning. Yeah, so very, very similar exercise. So we'll hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds per side and do about 5 to 10 per side.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So I usually tell people suck in your belly button, harden your belly muscles, and back down. Suck in belly, harden belly muscles, keep your back nice and flat. If you find that you're very wobbly or you can't coordinate on this and it's your first couple of times, feel free to just do your leg first and then bring your hand out. And it's normal to be shaky and wobbly. You're going to get better the more of this you do. And we're alternating sides. Key note, you're not doing your right leg and your right arm. It's very important. If you do that, you'll fall over.
And I find if you lift your leg too much, either on the standing or the floor, it really just throws you off kilter. So just be mindful of that if you feel really off balance. Are you reaching too far with your leg?
Make a fist and squeeze every muscle from your hand all the way down to your foot. That should increase your stability and support in your core, your arms, and your legs. How many are we doing?
You know, I don't really know what we're at. I'm going to guess we're at least like 6 per side, but maybe just do a couple more and then we'll...
Yeah.
I can feel my muscles getting tired. You only want to do as many as you can with good form. This is one people tend to tire out pretty quickly.
I'm getting tired. We'll do one more.
Okay. I'm equal on both sides, so I'll stop there.
Okay. Cool. So that is the bird dog, kneeling position or standing. So the next one we're going to do is the plank. So I'll do the kneeling version, Terry will do the counter. So the way I teach this one, all the way down to the ground, elbows directly underneath your shoulder, leave your knees on the ground, lift your hips up about 6 inches. Usually what I tell people, suck in your belly button, harden your belly muscles before you lift. So suck in, harden, lift, and then we're just going to hold that for as long as we can.
So for the easier version of this is the counter plank, and so the higher the surface, the easier it will be. So if you want to get in between, you can always go to a slightly lower counter or maybe a table. So for this one, you're going to put your elbows onto the counter or table, walk your legs back, lift your heels off the ground so you don't get just a crazy calf stretch, and get into a nice straight line, straight like a plank or a board.
So timer?
Okay, so I'm going to set a timer here. So we can get started in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
So suck in the belly button, harden the belly muscles, and keep on breathing. You should not feel any pain in your back muscles
10 seconds.
or in your back period. It's pretty normal to only be able to hold this one for 10 to 30 seconds. That's all you really have to hold it for.
It's 20 seconds.
And other thing to keep in mind is keep your shoulder over top of your elbow. So if you're having any shoulder pain, especially
30.
if you're doing the floor version, maybe you switch over to doing Terry's version, but really whatever your limiter is, that's fine. So if your shoulder limits
40
you
seconds.
in how much of this you can do, that's fine. Then we're just going to work on increasing the strength of the shoulder.
Okay, that's 50 seconds.
So we keep on sucking in the belly button,
Remember
harden
to
belly
keep
muscles,
breathing.
and keep breathing. Coming up on 60.
That's 1 minute. So we'll keep going to 130, but only go as long as you can. If you need to take a break, take a break.
Grab some water.
So we're at 1 minute and 10 seconds. 115.
Shaking muscles is normal, and that's good. Challenge yourself as much as you
120.
can. 10 more seconds.
125.
Oh,
And a minute 30.
Okay.
Oh, that was a hard one.
good job.
Okay. And last but not least, we're going to do the glute bridge.
Okay. Okay, so this next one is the glute bridge. So I'm going to do the harder version. Terry's going to do the easier version. So for the glute bridge setup, lie down on your back. You can do this on your bed. It's not as ideal. Bring your feet close to your bum, as close as you can get them. I usually say that are even on both sides. And then from here, we're going to squeeze our butt, push your hips up to the sky. So that is, and then hold for about 5 seconds on each one. My version is the harder version. Only do this if you can do the regular one comfortably. But basically, I'm going to super squeeze my left butt cheek. And it's giving me my left butt that does most of the work to bring me up to the sky. So really, it should look the same. If I'm using 2, it looks like this. I'm using my right, it looks like this. If I'm using my left, it looks like that. So you really can't tell that much. I want your hips to stay level. Yeah, and you can really hold it from anywhere between 3 and 5 seconds. I haven't been holding it so far.
I've been holding a little. I like to just really focus and make sure you get a really good contraction at the top. So that can happen in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatever you need to really feel it.
Yep.
And I only go as high as my bum will lift me. At a certain point, you're just arching your back, which is not really what we're aiming to do here. We're just lifting and squeezing with the bum. And I'm pretty confident I've done at least 15.
Great.
Okay, so we'll take a little breather.
Yeah, that's it for today. That's the whole round of core exercises. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.